Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. Today's sermon is entitled The Marriage Bond. The Marriage Bond. Now, alcohol was once illegal, but now is available in every corner store in America, and now even on Sundays. Marijuana was once illegal, but can now be dispensed with a prescription as long as the distributors are regulated by the government. Gay marriage was once illegal, but now is legal in all 50 states. What do these things have in common, you may ask? The answer is all of these things generate a massive amount of taxable income. Until 1967, interracial marriage and cohabitation, called miscegenation, was illegal. Some states granted a license to interracial couples who wanted to marry for a fee. Black's Law Dictionary's definitions of a license is permission, usually revocable, to commit some act that would otherwise be unlawful. Interracial marriage was illegal, and thus needed a permit or a license to become legal. Obtaining a license meant that you have agreed that your marriage or any other act would be illegal without the state's permission. Obtaining this license means that the state has jurisdiction over the marriage and the offspring of that union. Under the recent Supreme Court ruling, same-sex couples now have the right to obtain this license. They have the right to have their names listed on the birth certificates. This right also gives them the ability to appear in marriage, divorce, and child support cases and pay the corresponding fees. Couples married under a state-sanctioned marriage license also forfeit 1/3 of their property if one of them dies through inheritance tax. It is becoming clearly visible that the laws of this country are not based on right or wrong, but what is financially beneficial to the powers that be. Let's begin in Genesis chapter 2 and verses 15 through 25. See, a lot of times we look at things, but we don't see just how much money this new law is going to make. First of all, if you know anything about what finances, you'll find out that the gay and whatever community, they are rich. They have an enormous amount of income, and the states are missing out on that income. All of these things are about money. There are a whole lot of people that said if you drank alcohol, then you were dealing with the devil. But once man said it was legal, all of a sudden now you have a different thought. See, people don't know whether or not they're going to allow Yahweh to direct their lives or whether they're going to allow man to direct their lives. There are a whole lot of people that would have never considered using marijuana as medication. But once the powers that be said they authorized it to be used as medication, now you have people considering the things that they would not have considered before. But according to what's written in this book, Yahweh says that he is giving the herb for the service of man. Herbs were already medicine. The problem is man wants to self-prescribe and self-medicate. And Jake don't know doses. So Jake ended up passed out on the side of the road because he don't know what he's doing. So, but once again, we're allowing whatever law man passes to direct what we do. There was a commercial that the Anheuser-Busch family put on through, it was one of the Super Bowls. And they said, quite openly, prohibition was a hard time for my family. They just straight told you that they were illegally selling alcohol right there on the commercial. And we all just sat there and watched it during the Super Bowl. But this man just admitted they was bootlegging. Right in front of everybody, he admitted that they were bootlegging, but now the law has changed, and now his stuff, what his family does is no longer illegal. So we have to figure out at some point whether or not we're going to be governed by man or whether or not we're going to be governed by the Most High Elohim of Israel, because we see that man's law is all about money. They would never, there's a reason why they call marijuana weed, because it'll grow like weeds in the backyard. You just put it there, it'll grow. Well, how hard is that to regulate if it'll grow anywhere? Now they have the ability to regulate it. Now all of a sudden it's now becoming legal. It's not about whether something's good or bad. It's about how much money they're able to get from it. And that's what we have to understand when something is not under their control, they label it as evil. So you have to be careful how you hear, what you hear when it comes down to man. Genesis chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 15.
And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden you may eat freely, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat it thereof you shall surely die. And Yahweh Elohim said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him.
Yahweh said it's not good for the man to be alone. What prompted us to get to the state that we're in now? Because you have a serious, situation of locking up all of our men, and then you have the women saying, well, I'm an independent woman. I don't need no man. That's not what Yahweh said. So they say, I have a better idea than what the Most High have. I don't really need no man. Yahweh said it was not good for the man to be alone. So the woman was then created with him in mind. He did not create another man for him. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And out of the ground Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him.
There was not found a helpmeet for Adam, but one thing you find out, Adam had a job. Now, Adam is then given a helpmeet. See, we want to go the opposite way and we want to get a helpmeet, how can you start a family without some kind of direction as to which way that family is going? He has a job, he has something to do. As he's working, then Yahweh considered him. So I ask people, what's your job? And I'm talking, it's not necessarily some physical job. What job do you have that Yahweh benefits from? This was not just that he had a job. This is a spiritual job. This is a job that Yahweh benefits from him doing in the earth. Then Yahweh saw fit to give him something. What do you do that would cause Yahweh to say, it's not fitting for him to be by himself, or it's not fitting for her to be by herself? Let me create a union so that this would be a profitable thing for them, because they are profiting me. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
So here is the institution of marriage given in the beginning of the book. Now you have terms here where it says woman and wife. That word is Isha. When it says man, that is, or husband, that is Ish. When you deal with the Hebrew, there are feminine terms and masculine terms. So Ish is man or husband. Isha is wife or woman. I want you to go to Genesis 3 and read verse 16.
Verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you.
And he shall rule over you. So now there's an order placed in the house as to who is in charge. Now, originally, you have to ask yourself, how was Yahweh going to do that before? Because this was done after the deception of eating of the tree, and after the woman was deceived. This was when he said, in sorrow you shall bring forth children. Understand, no other animal has birth and it is in pain. All other animals have a baby, and the baby just be walking right down the street. The mama and the baby just walk. They just walk. Let's go get some grass. All right, come on, baby. They might be weebly wobbling, but the mama walk right too. They just walking. Yahweh said this whole thing of pain was after the deception in the garden. So that means a woman was supposed to be able to have a baby without pain. And people like to say, well, you know, that's the Old Testament. That stuff ain't valid no more. Do childbirth still hurt? But see, what men like to do is, let me go on and take this little shot. And then I just wake up in the morning, and it's going to be a little baby here like the stork bringer. You know, like they do in the cartoon. The little bird just bring and drop the baby off. That's what some people want. They just want to wake up, and the baby just sitting there. And the doctors are fine with that, because they are pushing people to have more and more of these cesareans, that they call it, which is really Caesarean, because it's a Roman twisted thing that they can schedule birth, opening up the mother and taking the baby out. So let's go to Genesis chapter 24. So we see the order and how our families have been attacked is the adversary changed that order. During this institution of slavery, the woman was put on top of the man. The slave master did not deal with the man in any form of authority. The woman was given that authority. To this day, our families are upside down. This is why you have so many people claiming that they are independent women and why they don't need a man. This completely disrupts the breakdown of the family the way it was supposed to be set up. And then you find brothers that once they get any money, the first thing they do is go and marry a white girl. Well, then you have to ask yourself, what is that all about? Ask one of them. See what they tell you. See, y'all scared to answer. Ask them. I have. They all had the same answer. White girl's more submissive. But they tricked us, turning our family upside down, allowing the woman or making her serve in a capacity by herself, then turn around and use that strength against her. Because she then takes that strength and boasts it against her husband. Now the whole family structure is upside down, and it's waiting to fail. They knew that when they set it up. They knew what they were doing. It wasn't by accident. Go ahead, brother. Start that at verse 42.
Genesis chapter 24 and verse 42. And I came this day unto the well and said, O Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, if now you do prosper my way which I go, behold, I stand by the well of water. And it shall come to pass that when the virgin cometh forth to draw water, I say to her, Give me, I pray you, a little water of your pitcher to drink. And she say to me, Both drink you, and I will also draw for your camels. Let the same be the woman whom Yahweh hath appointed out for my master's son.
Now he's going to look for a wife for his master's son, not for him. But you see how he has already prayed something. Let me know that if this is the woman that I'm supposed to take to my master's son. Do we even pray when we get into a relationship? If she look good in that blue dress, then that is the woman that Yahweh has chosen for me. What? He said, let me know that my way is prosperous, that this is the one that I'm supposed to have for my master. This ain't even for me. This is a job that I'm doing, but help my path, Yahweh. Go ahead.
Verse 45. And before I had done speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came forth with her pitcher on her shoulder.
And let me tell you something. I've had this happen to me before. As I was praying, before I finished praying, the prayer was answered, and it'll scare the mess out of you. Before he's finished thinking this, she comes and does everything that he was dealing with. Go ahead.
And she went down unto the well and drew water. And I said unto her, Let me drink, I pray you. And she made haste and let down her pitcher from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I will give your camels drink also. So I drank, and she made the camels drink also. And I asked her and said, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bare unto him. And I put the earring upon her face, and the bracelets upon her hands. And I bowed down my head and worshipped Yahweh, and blessed Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, which had led me in the right way to take my master's brother's daughter unto his son.
My master's brother's daughter. Now we would say, wait a minute, that cousins, that ain't right. That's legal according to this book. See, that's how a lot of times they would arrange those marriages, because they knew how those girls and those boys were raised. See, when somebody just brings somebody home, oh, mama, I'm in love with him. I love him. Who is he? James. He lives down the street. Well, what do you believe in? You know nothing about him. But when they was dealing with their folks, they said, oh, I know that boy right there. I watched that boy grow up. I know that girl right there. I watched that little girl grow up. I know what their parents are about. I know what they teach. I know something about them. In the country, back in the days, the first thing they asked you was, hey, who boy you? Who your folks? A girl come around here? Who's this girl you done brought around here? Oh, that's such and such. Oh, okay. She from that family. Oh. And you'll know if it was a bad family, because your folk, oh, she from that family. Right. Automatically. They already know. Don't bring her around here no more. I know her family. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 49. And now if you will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The thing proceedeth from Yahweh, we cannot speak unto you bad or good. Behold, Rebekah is before you, take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahweh had spoken. And it came to pass that, when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshipped Yahweh, bowing himself to the earth.
Now, there's a custom where they go and ask the man for his daughter's hand in marriage. Did you catch it there? I don't know if you missed that part. There's in a wedding, there's a man who gives this woman away. Did you catch that part? Where you supposed to go ask that man, can you marry his daughter? They got a song that was popular, just stop playing, where the guy's asking for the daughter hand in marriage, and the guy said no, and he said, well, I'm gonna marry your daughter anyway. Yeah, that gets you shot in here. That gets you shot in here. If that man said you ain't gonna marry his daughter and you gonna marry his daughter anyway, that man come do something to you. There's a reason why this was set up. You had to come and ask that man. Go ahead.
Verse 53. And the servant brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things.
Now, this is why the fathers were a part of this situation, because there was some kind of bride price that must be paid. You don't just show up to some man's door talking about, I love your daughter and love gonna take care of us. No. You finna pay something. That's not how that works. No. You been stacking up some bread or something? You got some goats. What you got? So the daddy has started preparing things. See, the twisted way they got it, now, who paid for the wedding?
The girl's father.
The girl's father paid for the wedding. You know how twisted that is? The man, the son who's coming to try to marry, his dad is supposed to pay for that. The girl dad ain't supposed to pay for nothing. He's supposed to be receiving. This place is twisted. Go ahead.
You know, even those Indian people that come from India, they still do that arranged marriage, and they still look at their financial setting versus this guy. If this guy's finances, his family's finances are not where they're at, they're not going to allow their daughter to marry him.
And check this out. They don't have divorces like we do. People say, well, I want to pick my own husband, my own wife. Right. And you pick them, and you get rid of them right at the same time. Well, how well did that work out for you? You picked that yourself. How'd that work out for you? Right. What mind did you pick that with? See, is your mind seasoned enough to make the decision? See, when folks have been living for a while, and they've been watching things, see, there were some things that my mother tried to tell me about some girls that I was dating or dealing with when I was younger. I didn't want to hear it because I like the way they look. Nah, mama, I love her. You don't understand. You don't understand. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I know women. And that hussy gonna break your heart. I was crying for long. Made me a better man, though. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 24 and verse 54. And they did eat and drink, he and the men that were with him, and tarried all night. And they rose up in the morning, and he said, Send me away unto my master. And her brother and her mother said, Let the damsel abide with us a few days, at the least 10. After that she shall go. And he said unto them, Hinder me not, seeing Yahweh hath prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, We will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. And they called Rebekah and said unto her, Will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. And they sent away Rebekah their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his men. And they blessed Rebekah, and said unto her, You are our sister. Be you the mother of thousands of millions, and let your seed possess the gate of those which hate them. And Rebekah arose, and her damsels, and they rode upon the camels, and followed the man. And the servant took Rebekah, and went his way. And Esau came from the way of the well, Lahairoi, for he dwelt in the south country. And Esau went out to meditate in the field at eventide. And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming.
Right. Now, he's never seen this woman. He has already, because this servant was following the orders of the father. Go and get my son a wife, but don't get one of these women over here. Go and get one of these women that I understand how they are raised. This book says in the New Testament, be you not unequally yoked with unbelievers. Go ahead.
And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Esau, she lighted off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, What man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, It is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself.
Now she covered herself as she saw that this was the man that she was to be married to. Go ahead.
And the servant told Esau all things that he had done. And Esau brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife.
Okay. Now, and Esau brought her into his mother's Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. You see any preacher in there? Was there a preacher in the tent? Anybody see a preacher in the tent? So they married without a preacher. So what act made them husband and wife? Don't say it. You know it. Without a marriage license. Ain't no license. He didn't need no license. And we know you don't need no license to do that. This is what made them husband and wife when she went into the tent with him. So there's some things that we have to consider here. When there is marriage done today, they say what? I pronounce you husband and wife by the powers vested in me by the state, which then makes that a contract between the two parties and the state. That's why anything you get ready to do in your marriage, they have to give you authority to do it because you have given them right over your marriage. A certificate is basically a sheet showing the permission that has been granted to you. If anybody grants permission, that means they're in control of whatever that is. When you get a license, the state of Georgia is in charge of that license. You have agreed that they have the authority over you because they permitted you to have the license. So that means you have already agreed to their authority when you get the license. So when you get a marriage license, you have agreed that they have the right to govern your life. That not only means you, that means all the kids that come from that union. They own the kids. Why do you think the state can come and say, I don't like the way this kid ain't eating right? Give me this kid and we're going to put this kid in foster care. He said, they take my baby. No, that's not your baby. That's our baby. See? You came and gave us this certificate. You filled out an application for a marriage license. Did nobody make you do that? Back in the days, they used to have something called common law marriage. Once those people cohabitated, once they lived together for a certain period of time, they were then called common law husband and wife and could operate as such. Now, the interesting thing is, now those things are gone away with, and now we have gay marriage right on the forefront, right in front of us, but common law marriage is gone away. Why? Because there are two forms of government, and these are things that we are not taught in school. There are two forms of government. There's a hint right in front of us. What are the two biggest parties in government? What are they? Democrats and Republicans. Do you understand that that actually explains the two forms of government? There's democracy, and then there's the republic. Which one are we supposed to be operating in?
Republic.
We're supposed to be operating in the republic, not the democracy. The democracy is what actually gets all us thrown in jail. It is what's getting all of us tickets. It's what's getting all of us these problems. Understand, when we were kids, we read the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Repeat the next part. Oh my goodness, they didn't say democracy. It says, and to the republic. But you don't even know what a republic is. And to the republic, not into the democracy. There is no such thing as democracy. Democracy is a lie. Democracy is the thing that has us underfoot. These are the two forms of government. So when you obtain a license, you are then operating on the democracy side, which is the side that controls you. You ever think, at what point did things change? Because you know all the rights that were given to us as so-called black people were given by Republicans. You know that, right? It wasn't given by Democrats. No right was given to us, and we just love Democrat. We just think we are just Democrat forever. We Democrat. Everything that has us locked up. Clinton has made more jails and things to lock us up more than anybody else. There's prisons named after this man. We just love Democrat, and we will vote Democrat without dealing with anything. The Republicans, dealing on the Republic side of government, believe in free enterprise in certain other kind of ways. Everything that was given to us, none of that stuff came through Democrats. It was the Democrats. That's the irony of even all of the things that people are talking about with the flags. All of that was twisted away, twisted on the other side years ago. It was the Democrats that was holding us back. Now, we just accept anything that is offered. Go ahead, bro.
I just wanted to touch on two things on what you were just talking about. You know, with the marriage license and whatever offsprings come out of that, the state owns. But that's right here in Scripture. If your master gave you a wife and you desired to leave, the wife still belongs to the master and the children belong to the master. So by getting that marriage license, the master is giving you a wife.
Right. Now, there are certain things that you have to look up when you are dealing with so-called law. What they say and what they send you letters in, you always think you have to get a lawyer because they use these terms that nobody understands. And those terms, you can't look those terms up in Webster's dictionary because you're not going to find their terms in Webster's dictionary. You have to get you a law dictionary. And until you get one of these, everything that they're saying something over your head, and you have no idea what they are saying or what it means. You are agreeing to stuff, and you don't know what it is. There are certain things in here, when you start to look it up, you see, wait a minute, they're doing something that I didn't know nothing about what they were doing. You have to look up each one of those terms, and they mean something. Now, I would get, this is the 9th edition of Black's Law Dictionary, but the better ones is probably edition 4. Just like the Bibles, as they start going up and up, they start figuring out tricks and things to do. This 9th edition takes out, and it's one of the newest ones, but it takes out case law. Case law becomes law. You use case law as a precedent for whatever it is you are dealing with. In the 4th edition, in the 3rd and 4th edition, they have case law. Case law, like let's say you look up something and it tells you about, you know, you get an accident and you look up those things and you find some terms. Under that, it's going to tell you case law about those certain incidents that are just like that. When you're in court, you can then use case law as law. Why do you think when they're dealing with court cases, they'll say, well, in the landmark decision of Roe versus Wade, they say such and such. They're not just mentioning that just to mention it. They're mentioning it because that moves them toward dealing with your situation. You can use that as law. And it's amazing that we don't know anything about this. We are arrested and locked up more than anybody else in this country. Nobody else is in prison more than us. This is killing us more than it's killing anybody. Democracy has not worked for us. Democracy is what has us in prison. Not knowing the things in this book. When we were young, they used to have a definition list for the kids. Each week they had to learn more and more terms, more and more words. They had to be able to spell those words and know what those words meant. You don't find it ironic that no one has ever, from anywhere, from kindergarten to 12th grade, from college to anywhere outside, even your secondary degrees, nobody has even tried to educate you on any legal terms? You don't think that's peculiar? That means they want you in jail. You only teach a law when you want people to follow it. When you don't teach it, that means you want them to break it. Why? Because when they break it, they're going to have to pay you. What do you think a ticket is? Those are fines. That's payment. They want you to break the law. They don't want you to abide by the law. If you abide by the law, the court shut down. The bail bond shut down. The police, they not keep hiring these people. That's a whole lot of loss of money. They need you to break the law. And the best way for you to break the law is for you not to understand what the law is. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 18.
There's a term that the law made to be broken. I've been out there a long time.
The better term is this one. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Now see, that's the one. What do you mean? Wait a minute. What's that mean? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. What they mean is when you get to court and they read the law to you and you say, well, I didn't know that was a law. They said that's not our problem. Ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law. So in other words, they have made all of these laws. Nobody has told you. Yet it's not their problem that you broke it. This is one twisted place. But you see the laws that they want you to know about? How many times we done already heard what happened yesterday with the landmark ruling, whatever it was? How often have you already heard it on television? Now, I mean, it is constantly, all night. It's just running in rotation. You see certain laws they want you to know about. You know how many other laws were passed that you ain't heard nothing about? You don't find it out until you get locked up. And then what happens? Then you have to pay an officer of the court, which is a lawyer who works for the court. So even when you get a lawyer, their first duty is not to you. Their first duty is to the court. They work for the court. They don't work for you. They work for the court first. Then comes you. I mean, you don't find it peculiar when you go to court, they all know each other, and you don't? Now, how well you think they're going in your behalf? All of them know each other. Don't you feel uncomfortable if you walk in a cafeteria and everybody talking, everybody kicking it, all of them know each other, and you the only one that don't know what's going on? That's what happened in the court. All them people know each other. Plaintiff, the judge for this side, or the lawyer for this side, the lawyer for that. All of them know each other. They making backdoor deals. That's what got your case taken care of. You paid him $5,000. He didn't get the whole $5,000. He got about $3,000. He had to drop $1,000 over here and drop another $1,000 over here. That's how your case got taken care of. It had nothing to do with the law. Go ahead, brother.
Are we on?
Yeah, start at verse 1.
Leviticus chapter 18.
Mm-hmm.
Leviticus 18. Verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am Yahweh your Elohim. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein you dwelt, shall you not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall you not do, neither shall you walk in their ordinances. You shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances to walk therein. I am Yahweh your Elohim.
Just as it is today, you got to make a decision whether or not there's a term, it is written in the New Testament, obey you the laws of the land. You have to figure out whether or not you're going to keep these laws of the land. First of all, you have to understand what law is. And we don't know that. Being that there are two forms of government, there are these prima facie laws that are given by the democratic side of government. They're not laws. Real law, the real law of the land is the Constitution. The Constitution is the law of the land. And do you know, when they say something is unconstitutional, do you understand what that means?
It's going against what the Constitution says.
But why is that a statement? When it says something is unconstitutional, how does that help you?
Constitution is the supreme law of the land.
Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So do you understand that any law that you can prove goes against the Constitution is null and void? Do you understand what that means? So that if we don't even know the Constitution, but that when they tell you you have done this, well, according to what's in the Constitution, I have the right to do such and such. So your law that you made is now null and void because it violates the Constitution. Now they got to throw it out. But do you even know enough to even say that? You just go into court. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm guilty of this charge. Done deal. They don't even have to prosecute. You have agreed to everything. So there's no need. There is no anything once you give up all your rights and you've given up everything. Once you plead guilty, there's nothing. It doesn't matter whether the law was just or unjust. You have agreed to it. Go ahead.
Verse 5. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yahweh your Elohim. I am Yahweh Elohim. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness.
Now he's going to break this thing down as far as what is near of kin. Go ahead.
I am Yahweh. The nakedness of your father or the nakedness of your mother shall you not uncover. She is your mother. You shall not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of your father's wife shall you not uncover. It is your father's nakedness. The nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, or daughter of your mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness you shall not uncover.
Right. Now understand, there was always some form of law in the land even before the official law was given. Because even when Sarah ended up with those Egyptians, the Egyptians got angry. They said, man, why you didn't tell us that this was your wife? Man, we might have, did something against you, man, because you didn't tell us that she was really your wife. So there's automatically something that's in the land that once a man marries a woman, no other man can touch that woman. Go ahead.
Verse 10. The nakedness of your son's daughter or of your daughter's daughter, even their nakedness you shall not uncover. For theirs is your own nakedness.
Theirs is your own nakedness. The nakedness of your son's daughter or of your daughter's daughter. So when you look at those people that's out in the Midwest that say they practice polygamy, you'll find that they have mothers and daughters and marrying both of them. And they claim that they getting that stuff from the Bible. You got to be able to go in there and say, no, you ain't get that out of this Bible. No, I don't know what Bible you got that out of. But you can't be marrying no woman and her daughter. That you didn't get that out of this book. Go ahead.
Verse 11. The nakedness of your father's wife's daughter, begotten of your father, she is your sister. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's sister. She is your father's near kinswoman.
See, this is what people don't understand. The Bible tells you who you can engage in relationships with. Go ahead.
You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, for she is your mother's near kinswoman. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's brother. You shall not approach to his wife. She is your aunt.
You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's brother. Now, some people may look at that, your father, why would you want to uncover the nakedness of another man? Keep reading. You shall not approach unto his wife. That man's wife is his nakedness. See, because those two have become one. So that is his nakedness that you have uncovered. Go ahead.
Verse 15, you shall not uncover the nakedness of your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your brother's wife. It is your brother's nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. Neither shall you take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswomen. It is wickedness.
Right. So that thing that they practice in the Midwest is not condoned in this book. Go ahead.
Neither shall you take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness beside the other in her lifetime.
Now, what does that mean? Verse 18, neither shall you take a wife to her sister to vex her. You cannot marry two sisters to uncover her nakedness beside the other in her lifetime. So while that other sister is living, you cannot marry that other sister to vex her. Now, Jacob ended up in that situation. He ended up marrying Leah and Rachel, but he did not try to marry Leah and Rachel. He tried to marry one sister. The father then realized, hey man, everything this man touched makes me rich. I leave one goat over there, I come back as 4 goats. They just multiply with this man. That man plant one tree, I come back 3 trees over here. I need this. So now he want to trap the man and make him say, because he said, I'll serve you 7 years for your daughter. He gave him the wrong daughter, and then had him serve 7 more years for the daughter that he was really supposed to be with in the first place. So the 7 years that he was supposed to serve, he ended up serving 20 years. And finally he had to just leave. The man wasn't going to let him go, because Yahweh blessed the works of his hand. Everything he did prospered. But he did not try to marry 2 sisters. He was tricked into marrying 2 sisters. And he was tricked by the daddy. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 19. Also, you shall not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she's put apart from her uncleanness.
Now, this, when you look back in the olden days, you see that there were separate beds in way back. And you can go look at I Love Lucy. You see different beds in the bedroom. You can understand at first, because of how brothers dealt with this in the Word, you know, I thought it was, you know, rather aggressive and a little bit out there. But I can understand now, as you start to get more and more understanding of it, that separation would kind of help for one another not to sin, because that separation for a woman being on her uncleanness, that separation is supposed to be that whole week, that 7-day period that she is unclean. Well, her cycle only runs about 4 days. So you can see, if you are still cohabitating around that 5 or 6 day, you might be tempted to do things, because not understanding this word before, you didn't know anything about how long that separation was supposed to be. So a lot of this you kind of learn by trial and error, why Yahweh put certain things in there. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Moreover, you shall not lie carnally with your neighbor's wife to defile yourself with her. And you shall not let any of your seed pass through the fire to Molech. Neither shall you profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahweh. You shall not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination.
It is abomination. And abomination is defined in Strong's as to Eba, which is properly something disgusting morally. Yahweh said that a man lying with a man as he lies with womankind is an abomination. It is morally disgusting. That is abomination. Strong's H8441 is the number of that definition in Strong's, dealing with the Hebrew. So understand, what they have said is legal, Yahweh said is morally disgusting. So understand, this is their official policy. So do understand, and we know that Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Are you getting your spirit ready for what that destruction then entails? Because all the stuff that you planning on, all this place finna get destroyed. This place, the destruction of this place is written on the wall. They have officially taken, before we could say, yeah, they let it go on, yes, a lot goes on. Now it is their official policy. This place is Sodom. Ain't no more questioning it. Go ahead.
You know, it was crazy yesterday. This white guy who, I don't usually really talk too much at work, but, we say what's up, guy, and he came to me yesterday, and I'm coming off the lift, and he was like, man, I really think America is going to be judged soon, man.
You would never hear stuff like that before.
I'm like, yeah.
You would never hear stuff like that before. Judgment is coming. And what are you doing to prepare yourself? Because see, when judgment came to Sodom and Gomorrah, they didn't want to hear it. They're like, man, we've been all right all this time and we've been operating like this. Right. Judgment cometh. We're talking about the same country that goes in everybody's land telling them how they doing wrong. And this is their official domestic policy. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 23. Neither shall you lie with any beast to defile yourself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you.
These nations did it, and I cast them out. Go ahead.
And the land is defiled.
The land has been defiled because they did these things in the land. Now, they already done killed everybody. Okay, they came over here, saw some people, thought they was in India, called them people Indians. Kill all them people off. Then when they got some other people, said, man, we don't know, it's hot out here. But we hungry. We hungry. Okay, go get them other people, and then let's beat them people and make them plant us food. That was just the building of this place. Now they've done this. Add that on top of this. Right. Go ahead.
Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomit out her inhabitants.
So the land vomits out the inhabitants because of the defileness that has happened in the land. Go ahead.
You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. That the land spew not you out also, when you defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you.
So the land spewed them out, and if you do these things in the land will become defiled and spew you out too. We already warned. Go ahead.
For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore shall you keep mine ordinances, that you commit not any of these abominable customs which were committed before you, and that you defile not yourselves therein. I am Yahweh, your Elohim.
All right, jump to chapter 20, and let's read verses 7 through 24.
Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 7. Sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be you holy, for I am Yahweh, your Elohim, and you shall keep my statutes and do them. I am Yahweh, which sanctifieth you. For everyone that curseth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him.
Now, we've always heard things that, hey, man, that's just foul. We would look at other nations and other people and look at how they talk to their mothers, and it would throw us off. Especially, being, little black kids, and we watch folk talk to their mother in no kind of way. It would blow our mind. I went to a white school in middle school, and, man, I hear some of them people, I was like, man, my mama would have knocked half my face off for saying that to her. And they could say anything. They folk were rich. Their mama was buying them $300 pair of shoes in the 90s. And they were, come on, Mom, I'm not doing that. Whoa! We was losing our mind. Whoa! I'm waiting for the dude head to roll. And I'm like, so you're You know, you ain't gonna hear them at all. So he just gonna talk to you like that in public? Boy, stop. I wish back in them days, you did it. One of the aunts would get to you before the mama. I got him, baby. I got him. You might get hit about 4 or 5 times for being that disrespectful to your mom. Are you crazy? Now folk can say anything. Right. Keep going.
Verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
The adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death. Go ahead.
And the man that lieth with his father's wife has uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
Understand something. There's something that is said in the marriage proceedings today. It says, till death do us part. That means they are entering into a lifelong covenant. According to this book, it says, as long as a man lives, that woman is bound to her husband. See? But then what man has set up is something different. They just offer these divorces, but understand, they were the one that gave you the wedding. You went and got the marriage certificate. So when you say that, you know what, this ain't working out, I want to get a divorce, they said, good, just go ahead and pay the fee. What? Oh, you got kids? Now we're going to do some child support. See, now understand, what they don't like is the population multiplying. Gay marriage does not allow the multiplication of numbers. They can't have no children. All they can do is get somebody else's. It's a win-win situation for the state, because then if they have a problem, guess what? Because of this law, they are now eligible for child support. You have any idea how much money child support brings to the state? The money that comes out of somebody's check for child support, you do know the mama don't get all that, right? So when the child support comes, now understand that these people are rich. So now they have these kids. Now they're going to, if they break up, there's a situation of child support. The state will say, all right, we're taking $800 a month for child support. All right, woman, there go you, $600, and here go my $200. Every month. This is working out in their favor. We don't get it. They counting the money. You still thinking that these laws have something to do with right and wrong. It has nothing to do with right or wrong. It never did. They didn't free you because they thought, you know what, we need to free these niggers. Let's just free. We've been wrong to the niggers. Let's free them. No. They had factories up north, and all you niggers was down south. So they said, hey, man, let us borrow some of your niggers so we can work these factories. Now, you got to get your own niggers. These is ours. And we going to keep these. No, this ain't going to work out. And there were no birth certificates before slavery. Once they freed us, we didn't even have last names. The last names that we have are the slave masters who owned us. But to get that birth certificate, they need a first and a last name. Why? There's a reason why this class was called the marriage bond. A birth certificate is a bond. See, the bond, according to the Bible, should be a covenant, a union. But a bond, according to them, is a negotiable instrument. Your certificate is a negotiable instrument that is traded on the stock market. So every birth certificate, every marriage certificate, all of those things are bonds that they make money off of. I keep telling people, when you look at those Bruce Willis movies, when they were robbing all of these buildings, and those people went in and stole what? Well, there was bonds. It was just certificates. Every last one of them had monetary value. And we don't have a clue. We're still dealing in this old raggedy cash, and these people are dealing in big money, and you don't have an idea of what's going on. There's a monetary value attached to your birth certificate. You just don't know about it. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 12. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion. Their blood shall be upon them. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
Now, if you notice, the things in Leviticus 18, it may seem like, man, he's reading some stuff and he just read it. Listen, the stuff in 18 told you what you could not do and what you could do. 20 is telling you the judgment for the things if you do them. See, it told you man with man was abomination. This one told you they're supposed to be put to death. So then you see why you had people stand in the closet. They didn't come out the closet. You come out the closet, you might die outside that closet. So you go back in that closet. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And if a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burnt with fire.
Now that's pretty serious. If a man decide, and this is stuff that goes on in the Midwest right now today. You marry a woman and her daughter, you supposed to be set on fire. I don't know about y'all, that's the last thing I want. That's got to be the worst way to go. Go ahead.
Both he and they, that there be no wickedness among you. And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and you shall slay the beast.
The beast got to die, because this dude decided that he wanted to hump the beast. Now the beast got to be killed too. But the beast like, I ain't doing nothing. Hey, Yahweh said you should have kicked him. You should have kicked him. You should have just kept saying, moo. You should have kicked him. Now the beast got some fault in that. I didn't do that. Go ahead.
And if a woman approach unto any beast, and lie down thereto, you shall kill the woman and the beast. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing, and they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. He hath uncovered his sister's nakedness, he shall bear his iniquity. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he has discovered her fountain, and she has uncovered the fountain of her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people. And you shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, nor of your father's sister, for he uncovereth his near kin, they shall bear their iniquity. And if a man shall lie with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness, they shall bear their sin, they shall die childless.
They shall die childless. These are judgments, and you see certain things in the earth and certain things happen, and you don't know why. Go ahead.
And if a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness, they shall be childless. You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them, that the land, whether I bring you to dwell therein, spew you not out.
Once again, that this land is going to revolt against you. There's going to be problems in the land. When the land spew you out, there's problems that start happening in that land that makes it uninhabitable. They keep showing these movies, the San Andreas Fault. They're showing you all of these things. Understand, Russia knows all of these places where America has weak points. There's underground volcanoes, a caldera here, that it is very possible. This is basically an underground bomb. We're talking a volcano with massive amount of power sitting at what, Yellowstone National Park? Do you understand what will happen if they actually shoot a bomb and hit that, which is a bomb? Then there's a bomb on top of a bomb. You realize it may break this whole country in half? So while we talking all of these things, we don't consider Russia has already started moving missiles closer to America, and these missiles can shoot from the water. They're not shooting from Russia. They're getting closer, so they make sure they don't miss. And they're going to be aiming at stuff that you ain't got no clue that's even there. They know where those fault lines are. If you hit, and people say, oh, they missed. No, they wasn't shooting at the Army base. They were shooting at that fault line. You hit that fault line with a missile, it may activate that earthquake and make it start splitting this whole country apart. These people know what they're doing. They've already done their research. And there's some really ugly talk going back and forth now. Because America keeps sticking their nose in this thing with Crimea. That is part of Russia. And they are ticked off about that. Go ahead.
Verse 23, and you shall not walk in the manners of the nation which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. But I have said unto you, you shall inherit their land.
Now, it says, they committed all these things, therefore I abhorred them. Abhor means hate. So people say, God is love. They miss this part, because they don't think he has the power to hate. He said, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Somehow people just like to put God as love and not understand. He says, let us make man in our image. So these things, as far as anger, aggression, love, hate, you think the Most High don't have all that? Yes, he does. He's openly said, I abhorred them, I hate them. Go ahead.
But I have said unto you, you shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am Yahweh, your Elohim, which have separated you from other people.
All right, let's go to Numbers chapter 36. Numbers chapter 36, and let's read verses 5 through 9. Even in the beginning of these things, understand that there was no marriage license before a certain time in this country. There had to be a license. Understand what a license means. A license means that that particular act is illegal without the license. So you then have to ask yourself, what is illegal about marriage that you would need a license to do so? See, interracial marriage was illegal. So then you needed a license to have or be in a interracial marriage. Go ahead, bro.
That's where the license started.
Yes, that's where the license started. But they realized they can make money.
They realized they can make money from everybody.
Exactly.
They made it a universal license.
And once they figure out they can make money, this is where the laws come. They have turned things that you have right to do into a permission that you then file for. Every step is a payment. You got to pay the pastor. You got to pay them. You got to go and get this. You got to pay for that. You keep paying for stuff. Well, you multiply that times 50 million people. And each person is paying that. Do you understand how much money they are getting? And it's unnecessary money. It's money that you didn't have to pay. That's free money. They didn't do anything for it. They just sat there and you came and said, I need to do this, so here go my money. Sure, you're right. Here go your receipt. They didn't tell you you had to do it. They made you believe that you had to do it. Nobody tell you that you had to get a license. You believe that you had to get a license. So you went and got one. They took my grandmama's license because they said she had some too many accidents when she got older. And I said, Big Mama, you can't drive. She said, yes, I can. I said, no, Big Mama, they took your license. She said, baby, they took my license. They didn't take my keys. Not now want to mess with her either. Right. Now, how that old lady could still drive and they took her license? Right. You might want to get you one of them law books right there. Numbers 36, verse 5 through 9.
And Moshe commanded the children of Israel according to the word of Yahweh, saying, the tribe of the sons of Joseph had said well.
Now, to understand what's going on here, they are now dealing with inheritance. This particular man has daughters but no sons. The inheritance always goes to the sons, but now there are no sons. So the daughters have said, look, we're going to lose out on our father's inheritance because the law says that this inheritance must go to a man. There is no man available. We need our father's inheritance. So when it comes to that, they have gone to Moshe. Moshe has gone to Yahweh. Now he is coming back with his verdict on this particular thing, what Yahweh has decreed. Go ahead.
This is the thing which Yahweh does command concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry to whom they think best. Only the family of the tribe of their father shall they marry.
Only the tribe of their father. So there are 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So understand, when you start looking at this intermarriage thing, understand where it comes from. Israel was not permitted to just keep marrying all from place to place. For one thing, when you start dealing with the inheritance, it was going to make the inheritance jump from tribe to tribe, and it couldn't do that. Tribes had set locations. This tribe lived here, this tribe lived here, this tribe lived here. If you married somebody from this tribe, then that would cause part of this property to go to another family. So no, that can't do that. See, we don't understand that because, you know, you can be paying for a house 25 years here and miss 3 months, and they come and take it. That's not how things were done in the old days. Whatever was your family land stayed in your family. You could go back to your grandmama's house, your great-great-great-great-grandmama's house, that house still there. That house still in the family. That's the way things are supposed to be done. Family land does not just come up and get missing, except in this wicked place. We've had paid for land in our family, and one of the family members got it and didn't pay the taxes on it, and they came and took it free, all paid for, and they took it for taxes. That's how wicked this place is. Land doesn't do that according to this book. Once it's in that family, it stays in that family. Go ahead.
You know, brother, and it also keeps bloodline pure. I mean, when you look at the royals of England and Europe, you'll realize that they're marrying cousins. They're staying within their bloodline.
Sure am. And ain't no new. That's going to be the big surprise for what happens here in America. Ain't no new castles in Europe. Ain't no new royalty. You have to understand what came here. They said, bring us your poor, your sick, your disenfranchised. All of the people who are in rulership here are the people who were the have-nots in Europe. What do you think they finna go back and be? When this place is destroyed, and Yahweh is gonna cause us to come closer to his word, because we ain't leaving by choice. He gonna force us out of here. And then they're gonna have to go back. All of them still know what they are. To you, they just look white, but they know, hey, he's Irish, he's German, he's this. They're gonna go back to the places where their families are. But guess what? They got to go and be have-nots the same way they left. They're not going back as royalty. So we ain't got to worry about no reparations. We ain't got to worry about no righteous judgment. Yahweh gonna take care of that. Because when they get back home, them folks gonna be like, what? They gonna take out the trash? Y'all what? Y'all them people come from Babylon the whore? That's y'all, ain't it? Yeah. All right, y'all work the trash.
Yeah,
Oh, they the have-nots. Right. They already got castles there. You ain't finna go and get in no castle. Let Yahweh do. Yahweh gonna take care of his business. You take care of yours. Yahweh gonna take care of his. You don't try to do vengeance on nobody. That ain't your job. Because you're gonna do it wrong anyway. Because some of them people have made sacrifices to hide and do things for our people. Yahweh gonna take care of them people. You wouldn't even know which one to take care of. You'd be mean to the wrong one and nice to the wrong one. You have that whole thing switched around. Let Yahweh do his job. Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 36 and verse 7. So shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe. For every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers.
Every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. So Yahweh is the one. Here, this thing, in 1967, the U.S. Supreme Court held that the laws banning interracial marriage was unconstitutional. That's what they call miscegenation laws. Miscegenation laws were marriages between people of different races. they had said that it was illegal. Well, you understand where they got it from. Yahweh was the one that said don't do it. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And every daughter that possesseth an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be wife unto one of the family of the tribe of her father, that the children of Israel may enjoy every man the inheritance of his fathers. Neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another tribe, but every one of the tribes of the children of Israel shall keep himself to his own inheritance.
He shall keep himself to his own inheritance. All right, Genesis chapter 16. People said life didn't come with an instruction manual. Yes, it did. This is it. It's got instruction manuals right here. Got an instruction manual right in front of us. The problem is we don't like the instruction. We were like, look, just give me some pictures. I'll put it together with better pictures. Yeah, we don't like reading instructions. It's got instructions. Now keep in mind, you know, this is the part that especially the West philosophy has a real problem with this part of Yahweh's word. Genesis chapter 16, and let's read verses 1 through 3.
Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, Yahweh has restrained me from bearing. I pray you, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai.
Now, Abram became Abraham. This is the father of the Hebrew Israelite faith. This is the father of all of anything righteous. This is the beginning of it. Go ahead.
And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife.
She gave him her maid, and he then married her. People have a real problem with that. You'll notice that this country will have now told you that same-sex marriage is illegal. But this here, they will not deal with letting this man now has more than one wife.
It's now legal.
You know? Say again?
It's now legal.
It's now legal. I'm sorry, thank you. So they have several terms that you would have to look up in this Black's Law Dictionary. Polygamy is the state of having more than one spouse simultaneously. Now, historically, the practice of having more than one spouse in one's lifetime was called polygamy. In other words, what they have today would have been constituted as polygamy. Remember, it said that the wife was bound to her husband as long as he lived. So, if she then married somebody else while he was still living, she was a polygamist. Because marriage was supposed to be one time, and as long as them people were still living, they was married to one another. Remember the whole phrase, till death do us part. They still living? Well, they married. So this was the setup. So then, of course, they then had to change this whole definition of polygamy, because everybody then became polygamous because they keep getting divorced. What they call it today, the better term for it is serial monogamy. For they just have one person at one time, but they just keep getting another person. I'm married to them in 1991. I'm married to him in 1992. And married that one in 1993. And I married that one in 1994. And I married that one right now in 1995. And they come up and they say, how many husbands you got? What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, sweetie, you got 5. What? Right. Well, hold on him. What? See, we like to count. We got that funny math. We count just the one we dealing with, not all of them situations we done had, that unholy matrimony that we done had before. See, the Most High counting that matrimony. That count. See, now you see the power of that baptism and what those things mean. Another term is polygamy. Now, polygamy could be more than one spouse simultaneously, man or woman. Polygamy is the practice of having more than one wife at the same time. And then they have another term called polyandry, which is the practice of having more than one husband. And there are people that practice that around the world as well. So you have to understand the trick of wordplay. People will say, there's no such law that allows for polygamy in the Bible. And they're correct, because polygamy is the man and the woman having other spouses. Polygamy is the only one that Yahweh has allowed, and that is where this man was allowed to have more than one wife. And this is the beginning of our faith. Let's go to Exodus chapter 21. But do understand, they will never allow that to be legal here. And why? The powers that be are all about keeping the numbers down to a certain number. People who are in multiple marriage situations will have more kids. They don't want that. See, same-sex marriage is never going to produce anything. Never. All they do is they can get other kids that other people have left off. They adopt. So that gives them the opportunity to get funds from kids that are already here. But they don't want people to multiply and make too many kids. The powers that be have a certain number of people that they think should be on the earth. And every time that number increases, we mysteriously have a world war that kills off many millions of people. Think. Every time the population gets too high, there's a world war that just comes out of nowhere. What do you think that's for? So they can keep the numbers down to a certain amount. Because the rich and the powers that be, they never go to war. They only send you to war. You are the ones they killing off. Your sons and daughters. They don't go to war. They don't go anywhere. Exodus chapter 21, and let's read verse 10.
And if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish.
Right. So you have some people that want to sit, because you have some part-time Hebrews, they get in this book for about 16 minutes, and they say, see, you see right now, man, brother had another wife. That's why I'm getting me another wife. Okay, her food, her raiment shall not be diminished. Now you got brothers can't provide food for the first wife. How you gonna get another one? You can't feed the one sitting in front of you. So you gonna get somebody else and they both get together? We hungry. Right. Let's go Deuteronomy chapter 25. Go ahead, bro. That was Exodus 21 and verse 10. Now Deuteronomy chapter 25, and let's read verses 5 through 10. See, this is the part, even if you got this, you're going to, because this thing was instituted or mentioned, you know, so much yesterday, there are a lot of churches that have probably done this sermon today. But I guarantee you they're not going into this part. I guarantee you there's some song and dance that's happening, and they hooping. But I tell you what, this stuff right here, they're not going into that. Now, they probably read the part about, you know, the abomination, you know, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. They'll go that far. But the rest of this, they're not going into that. They're not going into that. See, it is not beneficial, because first of all, once you have the regulation of 501c3, the government owns your church. You cannot speak out on anything that goes against the government setup. People know. So, sir, when I give my offering, why don't you give me a number? You better write your own number on there. I ain't getting no 501c3. You know how much stuff I teach in here? That them folk will be in here. Let me talk to you, bro. Man, you can't be teaching all this, man. You actually doing this stuff? You can't be teaching people this. Right. No. What we're going to do is we're going to teach. What you do with it is up to you. Deuteronomy chapter 25 and verses 5 through 10.
If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child.
If one of them die, remember, a woman is bound to her husband as long as he lives. Go ahead.
The wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her.
Now, you know they would call this woman all kind of names. Oh, you know, Charles died and that heifer married Keith. Oh, she's so scandalous. She following what's in the book. She's supposed to marry her husband's brother. Man, they would call her all kind of names. They run that woman out the church. They run that woman out the church. Where she get her old foul, disgusting ways from? She got them from that Bible that you got on your coffee table that you'll never read. But it's cute being open up to that psalm, though, isn't it? Right. A psalm is a song. That's what people like, songs. Right. Go ahead.
You know, and even in this case, hopefully if the brothers walk in the same path, her life won't be turned upside down.
Right. And that takes a whole nother meaning. I'm glad you mentioned that. That takes a whole nother meaning when you get into this word. Because if that brother was not in that word, then that woman would be unequally yoked. As Yeshua said, who is my mother and my brother? My mother and my brother are the people that share this word with me. So a woman that ends up without, she is not supposed to then marry outside of the word. She have brothers in the word. You don't deal with that because her life is completely ruined. She marry a heathen after being with a man in the word for 10, 15 years and then marry a heathen. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel.
Now, we can find this concept detailed in Genesis chapter 38 with Judah and Tamar. We can find this concept with Tamar, with Ruth and Boaz in the book of Ruth. And we can find it in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, this very same practice. Go ahead.
And if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders, and say, My husband's brother refuses to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. Then the elders of his city shall call him, and speak unto him. And if he stand to it, and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, So shall it be done unto the man that will not build up his brother's house. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that has his shoe loosed.
So he has eternally lost respect amongst the people because he would not raise up seed unto his brother. Let's go to Matthew chapter 22. As we said, this concept we can read from Genesis all the way to the New Testament. So we're going to read about this very concept in the New Testament so people can understand what's happening here. Christ was asked about this very same concept. Now, he had the opportunity that he could tell that lie that they tell in the church today. The law is nailed to the cross. He had the opportunity to tell that lie, but he did. See, why is this important? Because you will have some people that will deal with this either to the left or to the right and deal with it wrong. It's very important that we understand what is written in the book, because what you think, feel, and believe has no place in what's right or wrong. Sin is not defined by what you don't like. Sin is the transgression of the law. So for somebody to convince you of a sin, that means that there is a law somewhere written that says that you cannot do certain things. Matthew chapter 22, and let's start at verse 23.
The same day came to him the Sadducees, which say that there is no resurrection, and asked him.
Now, the real question was about the resurrection, but look at the term, or look at the thing that they used to question the resurrection. Go ahead.
Saying, Master, Moshe said, if a man die, having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up seed unto his brother.
Now, he had the opportunity to say, man, I'm nailing that to my cross, man. Don't worry about that stuff. Go ahead.
Now there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, and having no issue, left his wife unto his brother.
He left his wife unto his brother. So now that man is dead. Now the brother marries that woman. Go ahead.
Likewise the second also.
So then the second one died and left her to the third. Go ahead.
And the third unto the 7th.
Now this has happened all the way down to 7 brothers. This is still a holy and righteous woman. You know that, right? Just thought I'd let y'all know that. Go ahead.
And last of all, the woman died also. Therefore in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? For they all had her.
Right. Now, he is about to answer this, and he has the opportunity to go into all of that. Go ahead.
Yahshua answered and said unto them, You do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of Elohim. For in the resurrection they neither marry, nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of Elohim in heaven. But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have you not read that which was spoken unto you by Elohim, saying, I am the Elohim of Abraham, and the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob. Elohim is not the Elohim of the dead, but of the living. And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine.
Understand, in dealing with all of this, remember the conversation that was had at the well. The woman, he asked the woman about some drink. He said, woman, if you knew who it was that asked of you to drink, you would have asked of that living water. She said, well, give me this water that I thirst not. He then said, go and call your husband. She said, I don't have a husband. He said, you well said that which you have said, for you've had 5 husbands, and the one you have now is not yours. So he was counting every last one of those men that she had been with. She was so astounded. She then went and told the men that she came in contact. She said, hey, man, y'all need to go and talk to this man. I'm telling you, he's definitely got to be the Christ, because he told me whatsoever, everything that I've done. Y'all need to go talk to him. She persuaded those men to go and talk to him, because she knew he had told everything that she did. And you know she didn't tell nobody all of that. You know she ain't told nobody all of that. So that's something that we have to keep in consideration. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 12. Second Samuel chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 1 through 12.
Verse 1. And Yahweh sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him, and said unto him, There were 2 men in one city, the one rich and the other poor.
Now, if you're trying to get a real answer, when you are dealing with a question, what is brought before him is a hypothetical question that does not include names and specific situations, because this situation is actually involving him, but he's getting him to pronounce what the judgment should be if it wasn't him. So what has happened is King David, as it is written, he was a man after Yahweh's own heart. Yahweh loved David. But David has then taken somebody else's wife. He is laid with that man's wife. Then, when he couldn't get this woman, of course, became pregnant. Now he's trying to hide the pregnancy. This is a man, Yahweh loved him. Yahweh provided for him. But now he done got off into some mess. So after he gets this man's wife pregnant, he then tries to get the man drunk to try to get the man to sleep with the woman so they can put the kid off as the man's kid. It don't work. Everything he tries So now Yahweh has sent the prophet to come and talk to him. Eventually, he puts the man in the area of war where he know the man is going to get killed. The man is then killed. Then David, remember, a woman is bound to her husband as long as he lives. So David makes sure that this man dies. Then he goes and marries this man's wife, still with the baby inside of her that he himself has put there before that man died. That's the part that's happening before this. Now go ahead.
The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds.
So he's giving him that this is a hypothetical thing. Go ahead.
But the poor man had nothing, save one little ewe lamb.
Now, in this scenario, of course, David's the rich man, and then the man he had killed is the man who had this one little ewe lamb. Because understand, David had multiple wives. This man had one. And David had this man killed and took his one. Go ahead.
Which he had bought and nourished up. And it grew up together with him, and with his children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb, and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man.
David is angry against this man. Go ahead.
And he said to Nathan, As Yahweh liveth, the man that has done this thing shall surely die.
He has pronounced judgment not knowing who he's talking about. He just listened to the situation. Go ahead.
And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, You are the man.
You are the man. Go ahead.
So saith Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you out of the hand of Saul. And I gave you your master's house, and your master's wives in your bosom.
I gave you your master's house and your master's wives, plural, into your bosom. So Yahweh gave him all of those things. Go ahead.
And gave you the house of Israel and of Yehudah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto you such and such things.
If all you had to do was ask. Go ahead.
Wherefore have you despised the commandment of Yahweh, to do evil in his sight? You have killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and have taken his wife to be your wife, and have slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from your house, because you have despised me, and have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus saith Yahweh, Behold, I will raise up evil against you out of your own house, and I will take your wives before your eyes, and give them unto your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sight of this son. For you did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel, and before the sun.
And people are just mesmerized that these kind of things are in the Bible, but the Bible is a awesomely good read, and people just don't read it. You keep reading and you find out how Yahweh punished David. It was then his son that revolted against him, set up a tent on top of a hill, and slept with all them women during the day for everybody to see. Yahweh's punishment ain't no joke, and that was Yahweh's mercy, because he was supposed to die. Yahweh said, I ain't gonna kill you, but you're gonna pay for this for the rest of your life. And that was his mercy, that you get to live, but you're gonna have to pay for that on this end. And that's Yahweh's love. If you don't pay for it on this side, you got to pay for it on the other side. If you got something left on your account at judgment, you're getting thrown in that lake of fire. So the very troubles that we run away from are the very things that's keeping us out of the lake of fire. And then we complain about the troubles that Yahweh's given us, and you don't understand. Hey, man, I got to work off your account. Why are you complaining? I got to work off your account. Do you understand how much stuff you've done? I either got to work off this account, or I got to throw you in the lake of fire. Now, which one you want? You going to work off your account, or you going to go jump in the lake? Don't jump in the lake then. You got one or the other. Make your decision. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let us go to Revelation chapter 21. And as much as Yahweh loved Dawid, you see he made him pay for those things. But we can also read where Yahweh is going to resurrect King David in that glorious kingdom, and David's still there. So he can't allow David not to pay for his sins, because he can't raise him up and then make him pay for it. If he has that still left over, then he's getting thrown in the lake of fire. He has to pay for it on this side. So he had no choice but to do that to David. But we don't see the love of Yahweh in that. We think Yahweh is punishing us. It's the love that he has for you that's causing you to go through it. Because if he didn't care, he'd leave you alone. Then all those things would be sitting there at your judgment. See, we take problems the wrong way. Some of the best things I've ever gotten in life came through a problem. And I was whining at the same time. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you so unfair? Was that a new car? Where you get that? How'd I get here? Why are you doing this? Here goes some more money. How'd that come? Whole time I'm whining, Yahweh is actually pushing me to a whole nother level, and I'm not seeing it. So you don't see that until it's done. So at some point you learn, you know what? Let me shut up till I figure out what he's doing. So when something happens, I'll be like, oh man, here comes some new hell. I said, well, one way or another, he gonna cause it to benefit me. Either I'm gonna learn something new, or I'm gonna get something new. That's how you have to learn to look at hell. Revelation chapter 21, and let's read verses 1 through 14.
And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea.
Right, this is after this millennium kingdom. You have this new heaven and this new earth, but you notice one thing, these things are coming down from heaven. Let them tell you on Sunday church, everybody die, go to heaven. Yet, we read in Revelation, Christ coming out of heaven. He's making war. What you gonna do with angels' war? It says there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought, and Lucifer and his angels fought. So you got evil angels, you got good angels, they having a war. What your Uncle Pookie gonna do in between them? Uncle Pookie in heaven. Uncle Pookie about to get his block knocked off. Them two angels fighting each other. What Uncle Pookie doing in the middle of that? What he gonna do? You think I don't want to be in between two fat dudes fighting, much less two angels? Why would you want to be in? That's some serious power you in the middle of. But see, we've been given this fairy tale that we're gonna go to heaven as soon as we die. Man was given a paradise. It was here on earth. Man messed up his paradise. Why do you think heaven is coming? This new heaven and this new earth is coming down. You already have a paradise. Instead of just giving you another one, what you're going to do is clean up the one you done messed up. What you think Armageddon is about? It takes blood, the shedding of blood, to make atonement for sin. So blood will have to be shed on earth to cleanse this creation that you have mucked up. Nobody giving you something new. Your mama give you a new shirt and you tear it up. Did she turn around and give you another one? You ain't know how to take care of the last one. I ain't finna buy you now another one. You just tore that up. Now you get that sewing machine and you learn how to sew. And you fix that raggedy shirt you done messed up. And when you fix that one, maybe I'll decide to give you another. You don't help nobody by every time they tear up something. All the brothers I knew some dudes. Their daddies had money. Cat wreck a car, his daddy give him another car. He wreck another car, his daddy give him another car. You know what happened eventually? That dude got over 20 years in prison. His daddy kept helping him without letting him learn the consequences of his actions. Because he kept having money, he kept throwing money at the problems, and the boy never learned. So he kept that twisted mentality until he got grown, and he then did something that his daddy couldn't buy his way out of. That dude to this day is still in prison. That dude went to prison when we was little kids. I was like 18. This dude been 20-something years, still in prison. Right. And he come from a good family, rich. I used to go in his room and be like, bro, you got BET in your room, bro. Bro, you got like a cable box, bro. You got like the house stereo. You know, like the stereo that be in like other people's living room? He had it in his bedroom. We used to shake the windows. I like, turn it up. Boom, 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 boom. Ah, ah. I was like, this in your room, bro? You know how different that was like in the 80s and 90s for somebody to have some speakers this big in their bedroom? Anything. You wreck the car, daddy get him another one. It didn't do that boy no good. Go ahead, bro.
No, I just wanted to add to even what you were saying about the whole going off into heaven. We read it in the oracles where Yahshua, the Messiah, says, those that overcome shall I grant to sit with me in my throne.
Mm-hmm.
We know that his throne is going to be here
Right.
on earth.
Right. But we like that fairy tale, man. We like that fairy tale. It is said, we can read where it says King David shall be in this new kingdom. Yet it also says that David is dead and buried, and his sepulture is with us unto this day. He is not ascended unto heaven. Yet it says David was a man after Yahweh's own heart, and he ain't in heaven, but Uncle Pookie is. Come on, bro. For real. So Uncle Pookie, this man built the house. Yahweh used this man's seed to bring forth Christ, and he ain't in heaven, but Uncle Pookie is. See, it's a man, we want to believe certain lies. See? We know they lies, but we just like them. See? That helps us feel comfortable. Go ahead.
Revelations chapter 21 and verse 2. And I, Yohanan, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And Elohim himself shall be with them, and be their Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving and abominable...
The fearful and unbelieving and abominable, now we already read what abomination was. Mm-hmm. All right? Now, if you turn around and say that, think it was awfully coincidental, if you believe in such a thing, that as soon as, there's this shooting where this white guy goes in, shoots this guy, shoots the pastor, shoots all the people in the church, this guy had openly made statements against gay marriage. At his funeral, now it's the same time that the ruling comes out that gay marriage is legal. Now that's awfully coincidental, don't you think? Right. And the president's there. It's awfully coincidental that this happens. This man has made these statements against gay marriage. The guy sits down for an hour, read the Bible with him, shoot everybody in there. Ask for the pastor. Shoot the man. Now, all the man was doing was reading what was in this book. So understand, this stands of me even reading this could possibly get me killed. Read.
And murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall
all liars. People say, well, I just told a little white lie. I don't care if you told a black one, or a blue one, or a brown one. All liars. Go ahead.
Shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire.
In the lake which burns with fire. And this upsets people when you tell them all abominable. Now, murderers and liars in the same lake of fire. Now that throws us. People lie so much. He be like, wait a minute, liars getting thrown in the lake of fire? Right. See, we don't understand. There is judgment. This is why nobody reads from the book of Revelation. Don't nobody want to read. You can't teach that pie in the sky lie with Revelation. That's why you're not going to go to church and hear nothing being read out of Revelation. Go ahead.
And brimstone, which is the second death.
Second death. What's the second death? There's 2 resurrections. Did anybody ever teach you that? Anybody ever teach you that in Sunday church that there's 2 resurrections? People talk about the resurrection, the resurrection. There's 2. You're supposed to be part of the first resurrection. You don't want to be a part of the second resurrection. You want to take part in the first one. That's the one where Christ is. If you get awakened at the second resurrection, that means you have missed the millennium kingdom. You have missed Christ here on earth. And if you miss Christ on earth and you wake up at the second death, ain't no need to wait for judgment. Just go over there and just jump in the lake. Ain't no need to wait. Just go over there. When you look, and you say, man, what been going on? Bro, you just not getting here? Christ been here for 1,000 years. Christ been... Where the lake at? Go ahead and jump in it. Don't jump in. Ain't no need to ask him. There ain't no need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, lead, and set yourself free. Go ahead and get in that lake. Go ahead. Because there ain't no reason you should have missed that 1,000 years with Christ. You missed it, there's a problem. Go ahead.
You know what they want to say, growing up in the world, they have this saying, you know, you only have one life to live it to the fullest. And that's what a lot of people think, that you only have one life to live.
Yeah, well, you got a long life to sit in the fire. So you go right ahead and you live it up. I tell people, for them people playing with the Bible and they make a whole lot of money teaching them lies, bro, people be like, well, I'm mad. This brother got him private jets. I think the brother should have 4 private jets. He should have them, the Benz that just lift up this way and then take off. He should have all them spaceship Benzes. He should have everything. Because the amount of punishment they're going to get for playing with this word, it does not compare. I hope you are rich beyond rich. I hope your money have money. You better go ahead and enjoy yourself, because your punishment is going to be serious. I'm not playing them kind of game. I'm not playing them kind of game. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 9. And there came unto me one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Elohim, having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
Now you hear people constantly talking about they going to heaven and they going to see the pearly gates. They talk about it like it's just one set of gates. When you read this, it says, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates. So when people say they going to heaven, they're going to see the pearly gate, which one you going to be at? Because these 12 gates have the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Now understand the hypocrisy of people. They claim that they're going to heaven, but they actually have disdain of the way that it is set up. These 12 pearly gates come and they are named after Jacob's 12 children. Those are 12 sons. Those sons came by the way of 4 wives. One woman didn't have all 12 of those children. So they have disdain for marriage in that setup, but then still claim they're going to heaven, but hate the way the heaven is set up. Now, how you going to go to a gate and have a problem with the man who the gate is named after? Hypocrisy. But we learn that hypocrisy here in the daughter of Babylon. See? But don't get it twisted. Go ahead. Finish that up.
Verse 13. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb.
So the 12 apostles were in representation of the 12 tribes. So in conclusion, what we have to understand is that Yahweh said in the beginning, be fruitful and multiply. So there was no hindrances on our ability to procreate. But when we examine that Yahweh has given unto Israel blessings and curses, and that we are living out our curses in this land, the daughter of Babylon, also called Sodom and Gomorrah, we must examine whether or not we still have those luxuries afforded unto us. It is very possible, since this is the land of our punishment, that multiple marriage may provide multiple entry points for the curses to devour us. It is clear that multiple marriage, polygamy, was and is a part of Bible culture. It is clear that it is spoken of in Isaiah chapter 4. It is also clear that it is after the punishment is over, and could also be Yahweh replenishing our numbers after many are killed in the judgment. We are told to obey the laws of the land so that it may go well with you. This gets increasingly difficult when you don't know what the real laws are. It is clear that man laws are not about righteousness. So let every man be convinced in his own mind whether he will serve man or Elohim. And as stated by Peter and shown by Daniel, we ought to obey Elohim rather than man. So we have to consider some things. There are things that are allowed in this book, but do understand that we are living out our curses. You would have to be very careful in going about trying to deal with that, saying, hey, I'm going to be involved in a multiple marriage. And if that is not what Yahweh has called for you, you have just made multiple doors for them curses to enter into your house. And believe you me, some folks are married and they got enough curses coming through that one door. They don't need now another door. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.